So how do we deal with non-point source pollutants? Well, just like with the point source pollutant, we try to find it and we try to eliminate it. Now, the best way to eliminate a point source pollutant is through education, is to eliminate the source, to talk to that fella about not fertilizing right before a rain event, not dumping stuff in a storm drain, fixing leaking parts on your car, all that stuff. That's the best way. But the other way we use is we collect this storm water in ponds like this, and we'll leave it there for a period of time. We direct all the storm drain outfalls. Instead of letting it go straight to the creek, we direct it to this pond. That water will sit there, the pollutants will settle out, there'll be some treatment to take place, and the water that ends up moving downstream is much, much cleaner. So that's another technique that we use to treat for non-point source pollutants. So how well are we doing? Well, we're doing pretty good, but we got a long way to go. This is, again, a picture of Mecklenburg County. The streams colored in red are considered as polluted or impaired, and the streams that are blue are considered as not polluted. And this is based on state water quality data. The state monitors our streams, and we monitor our streams here locally. What it boils down to is that the state monitors about 263 miles out of that 3,000 miles of streams. Now, we got about 330 miles of major streams. These are wide streams. They're anywhere from 4 to 10, 20 feet wide. And the state, and really us, we monitor about 263 of those 330 miles. And out of that, about 202 miles are considered as polluted or impaired, which is 77%. So that's not a good number. That's too high. The largest impaired stream is called McAlpine Creek down in the southern end of the county, and portions of it in Matthews and Mint Hill in the city of Charlotte. The biggest source of pollution is bacteria and biology. It's inadequate biology. There's not enough life living in the stream, in muddy streams. And the biggest source of pollution is stormwater runoff, the non-point source pollutants that I mentioned earlier. So what can you do to help? Well, first of all, get involved. You need to know about our surface water resources, where they are and why they're important to us, and understand that. And then once you understand that, then you need to do something about it. And what you can do is don't pollute. Don't allow pollutants to enter our storm drain system. Don't dump pollutants in a creek or storm drain grate. And make sure that when you're fertilizing your lawn and all the activities you're doing, that you're cognizant of what you're putting on the ground, realizing that when it rains, it may end up in a creek somewhere. We also have a lot of volunteer programs like Adopt a Stream and Storm Drain Marking, and we have a Water Watch program. And you can get involved in these, and the way you do that is you call 311 to volunteer, or if you see a pollution problem, you should always be looking at creeks and streams. And if you see any of them that are red or blue or have soap suds in them or dead fish or other indications of a pollution problem, you need to call 311, and they'll get in touch with us. We'll get out there usually within 15 or 20 minutes, find the source, eliminate it so that water quality can be restored. I wanted to mention, this is our website. Now, you had this on the brochure that you were given. If you go to this website, that takes you to our website. And over here you see Wash Water Seminar. You can click on that. And then you can scroll down here to the bottom. And you see Information Distributed at Seminar. Click on that. And these are all of our PowerPoint presentations in the order that they're being presented today, as well as the handouts that you were given. Well, that's the end of my presentation, and we're going to move to the next presenter. Craig, do you want to introduce him?
Sure. Thank you very much, Rusty. Our next presenter is Robert Hinderleiter. He came from Texas today, and he's representing UAMCC. And he's spoken across the country. He's very knowledgeable about this, but he's presenting what you see on the handouts, which, by the way, those were meant to be printed on larger pieces of paper, so sorry about the small font. Those are things that we came up with in looking at what other municipalities are doing, with talking with different folks, and it's what we're going to get feedback on. But that's what Robert's presenting. It's what we came up with locally. It's not what he necessarily thinks or what UAMCC thinks. It's what we came up with here. So Robert, come on up. And
like with any other training, when you got started, you didn't learn your ABCs by going through ABC and then knowing how to build a word. I'm going to basically summarize what I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to go over it, and then we'll proceed on. I'm going to summarize it again. Basically, on your BMPs, you always want to pre-clean. Do not discharge sand, dirt, or debris to the sanitary sewer. You need to clean the debris, dispose of properly, and pre-clean your oil and grease spots. You always want to filter your wastewater. Minimum filtering is through an oil absorbent boom, but if you got a sand trap, grit trap, or something like that, you want to use it. You can always discharge to a environmental waste company. And then if you're going to discharge to the sanitary sewer in the county, you can discharge up to 100 gallons without any pre-treatment, but it's better if you do.
They can't hear you back there.
They can't hear me back there? What about now? Is that better? Okay, thank you. If you're going to discharge over 1,000 gallons, you need to pre-treat that. A minimum is an oil absorbent boom and then through a screen to get out the dirt and debris. And if you're going over 1,000 gallons, you need to get a permit to do that. And you see Regina, she'll be talking later on today. So that if each contractor gets one permit, that will cover all the different areas that he's operating in. But basically, it's a permit per location, so if you get the permit, it covers all the locations that you're going to be at. Under certain conditions, there's exemptions and nothing down the drain but rain, but there's some storm drain exemptions. Basically, if you use no chemical and cold water and your surface has low loads, so basically just atmospheric dirt, you can wash that down into the storm drain with minimum amount of pre-cleaning, but you always want to run it through oil absorbent boom so there's no oil sheen or suds going into the storm drain. Under certain conditions, you can discharge the landscaping. Normally, I recommend that as a general rule, if you don't do any more than 1,000 gallons per acre per month, you'll be within compliance. But you got to look at the hydrometry of the soil that's involved. If it's real sandy soil, it'll take more water. And if it's less sandy, it's going to have a tendency to set on top. You don't want to put so much water on there that it'll run off the grassy area. You want it to soak into the ground, and you got to be careful about off-property discharge by contaminating surface water and groundwater. If we have lots of lakes and streams around here, so if you're close to a lake, if you're washing a house by a lake, you're going to have a water table that's 1 or 2 feet deep. You're not going to be able to discharge hardly anything on the lawn. If you're in the middle of the county where the water table is 65, 70, 80 feet down, well, you got a different set of geology that you can discharge onto, and you can discharge a little bit more. You have to be careful. You do not want to contaminate the groundwater. Conveyance to the sanitary sewer needs to be with a method that will give you the most remediation getting into the sanitary sewer. If you have a grease trap, sand trap, oil water separator, something like that, you need to go into that first. If that's not available, you can use like an oil absorbent boom and a window screen, something like a lady's pantyhose, to get out the dirt and sand, sludge, and silt before it goes into the conveyance to the sanitary sewer. You want to try to use biodegradable soaps, non-caustic. Biodegradability doesn't mean that it can go down into the storm drain. It merely means it can go into the sanitary sewer and be easily digested by the POTW. And Regina has requested that you try to use like citric cleaners and stay away from phosphates, as those have become a problem within the POTW. So as you'll see more of that along the next 2 or 3 years, they may in fact ban phosphate detergents and go strictly to citrus cleaners. Hot water and detergents are emulsifiers. They create spatial waste. So hot water and detergents are treated in the same manner.